Hello, everyone. I'm Dr. Michael Wu, and I'm the Chief AI Strategist at PROS. Today, we are going to talk about some practical aspects of implementing AI in enterprise. And we all know that theory and practice can be very different. And this is especially true in an enterprise where a lot of people are involved. But before I begin, I just like to take some time to go through some context to explain to you why is this so important at this time. And the reason is because the coronavirus pandemic had really greatly accelerated the adoption of digital technology. So McKinsey actually did a survey earlier in April this year, and their data basically shows that it took many, many years for the US to build up a pretty modest digital user base. And with the COVID, it only took a few months to catch up almost halfway. Now, in this data, what's not shown in this data is the relative speed at which things happen. So if you actually add up all the users in this two population here, what you see is that the new digital user base here, so these are the ones in pink, so these are the users who are using digital channel for the first time because of COVID. They are only 46% of the regular digital user who had been using digital channels before the coronavirus pandemic. So what's not shown here is that it took about 20 years for us to build up this population here in blue, but it only took about 2 months for this new digital user base to catch up almost 46%. So this pink population is actually growing very, very rapidly. Now, moreover, this is actually a global trend. It's not just a US phenomenon. So McKinsey also look at the online purchase growth across 10 different countries around the world. So in this data, darker blue means there's more positive growth, whereas darker pink means there's actually more negative growth. So if you just glance at this data set, I mean, it's not too hard to convince yourself that a lot of this is actually blue, right? So there's generally an increase in online purchase across these 10 countries. So now these are obviously consumer behaviors, so they are very relevant for B2C business. What about B2B? So this is Patrick Dupont. So I actually had the privilege of sharing a stage with him at a global conference in Switzerland. So Patrick runs a 300-year-old glass manufacturer in France called Saint-Gobain. Now, Saint-Gobain told us that before COVID, their digital sales was pretty modest, only at about 10%. But after the onset of COVID, it actually increased to about 80%. So that just says that whether you're a B2B or B2C, it doesn't matter. This digital trend is here to stay, and the COVID is going to only accelerate digital transformation. So now, why is AI so important for e-commerce? So if you actually think about this for a minute, if you are a brick and mortar business, right, your business and your market is constrained geographically, but your competition is also constrained to those that are close by you as well, okay? So now what happens if you actually go online and become an e-commerce, okay? What happens when you go online and become an e-commerce is that, well, the first thing is that your market opportunity becomes much bigger because digital is borderless. So now your market becomes global, right? But your competition also grows as well because now you be competing with every single online business on the planet. So how do you stand out? How do you actually differentiate yourself? So for this, I think it's always instructive to look at what the leaders are actually doing and how they differentiate themselves against competition around the world. So let's take a look at Amazon. So one of the tools that Amazon leverage is artificial intelligence to help them differentiate. So which type of application do you think Amazon is using to help them differentiate in this case? Well, Amazon actually uses all four of them. So let's take a look at each one of these categories. So first, let's take a look at Internet AI. So Internet AI is also called personalization AI because they are basically recommender systems. Now, Amazon actually has a very famous recommender system called customer who bought this also bought that recommender system. So they basically recommend product throughout their e-commerce experience. Now, Amazon also uses this type of AI to personalize a lot of their customer experience online. And Amazon is actually like controlling what you're seeing, how they actually rank your search result, to everything, to how you like to pay and how you like to receive your product. So internet AI basically can help you personalize your customer experience. So next, let's take a look at perceptual AI. Now, perceptual AI is also called cognitive AI because they basically are trying to mimic the higher cognitive function of a human being. And that includes vision, speech, and language. So from a technology perspective, they basically consist of some kind of computer vision system or some kind of chatbot or digital assistant. So for Amazon, I'm sure you all have heard of their digital assistant, Alexa. So with Alexa, now you can actually purchase online anywhere and anytime with a simple voice command. So basically that makes shopping very, very easy. So as you make shopping, if you actually make shopping easy, people actually shop more. And as a consequence, they buy more. So now what about computer vision system? So if you give the machine the ability to see things as we do, if machines actually have an eye, what can you do with that? Well, the application that comes to mind, immediately is probably face recognition or object recognition. So Amazon actually take that to the next level and build a store that doesn't actually have a checkout line. You simply scan yourself in and you pick up the item that you want and you can just walk out. Okay, because now this store is actually have this sophisticated computer vision system that monitors everything, is tracking who picked up what, and you will know to charge what item to the proper account. This is actually a very sophisticated vision system because there can be many, many people in the Amazon Go store. And moreover, there can be more than one person going in under the same account. So you can scan your account, go into this Amazon Go store with your friend, and each one of you pick up some items. And after both of you have walked out, it will actually charge all the items you and your friend pick up to your account properly. So pretty amazing. So basically, this perceptual AI, Amazon is using it to simplify shopping. Okay. So next, let's take a look at autonomous AI. Now, autonomous AI is the AI behind the self-driving car, but it can also be used to drive other machinery or other drones and robots alike. So now Amazon is not building a self-driving car yet, at least not yet, but they're actually making use of this type of AI heavily in their fulfillment center. A lot of the warehouse operation in their fulfillment center consists of robot that's working alongside with humans. So these robots consist of, I would say, robotic arms that have only rudimentary amount of intelligence. So they probably have some camera system on there that tells them that they should probably pick up stuff that looks like a box. They probably should not grab something that looks like a human. But there's also these really intelligent shuttle robots that's actually shuttling their shelf and inventory around the warehouse. So these shuttle robots are pretty much like a miniature self-driving car. They can shuttle the products to the right destination in the warehouse so that human can actually walk on them. And they know how to drive in their designated lane, and they can even avoid collision with other robots and other humans. They can even avoid traffic and congestions in the factory, in this warehouse. So they are basically like a miniature self-driving car, except that they operate in a much more well-controlled environment of the warehouse. So now, if you could shuttle products around the warehouse, why not shuttle them to people's house? So Amazon is also experimenting with delivery bots, so they can actually deliver their product, say, from an Amazon truck to somebody's home. The AI that's powering these delivery bots and shuttle bots are pretty much very similar to this one that actually powers a self-driving car. And if you're able to shuttle these items to people's home, why not fly them there? So Amazon is also experimenting drone delivery as well. So as you can see, these type of AI is able to make a lot of these what traditionally thought of just dumb machineries a lot smarter. Okay, and they can automate a lot of physical tasks around the world. And Amazon is basically using this to automate their logistics. So lastly, let's take a look at business AI. So business AI is also called decision AI because their primary use case is in business decision automation. So decision AI actually is very, I would say, diverse because there's so many different industry, different business function and specialization out there, but they're very, I would say, obscure. They're not very well known to consumers because the users of these business AI are typically very specialized people in a specific domain. So they're not very well known. So Amazon also has a lot of use cases in using this business AI or decision AI. Now, I'm going to talk about two use cases here. The first one is fraud prevention. So Amazon used to have a pretty sizable team of fraud investigators. So these fraud investigators will look at potential fraud transactions, and they will determine whether they are truly a fraud transaction and decide what actions to take to mitigate future fraud. So now this is actually generates a lot of data. So Amazon is able to use the data that they generate to train an AI to basically mimic these fraud investigators' decision. So basically now, Amazon basically have this AI system that does automatic fraud detection, and automatic recommendation of actions to deter future fraud. This free up the humans so that they only have to review the action that's recommended by these AI system, and so that they don't have to do all the investigation that takes a lot of time themselves. So the next application that I want to talk about is dynamic pricing. So there's a report in 2013 that basically says that Amazon actually priced 2.5 million times in a single day. So on average, that's about one price change per every item every 10 minutes. So this, at this scale, there's no human or not even a team of human could perform at that scale, okay? So Amazon basically leveraged their rich transaction history, transaction data, and to train the AI to help them price optimally. Now, this AI basically, it does pretty much what a human would do, right? You will actually analyze the market demand, the inventory level of the market, competitor pricing, and also a lot of other factors to come up with the optimal price and maximize the margin every 10 minutes for every item. Okay, so this is actually such a large scale that even the human, even with human experts around, they can't review every single price change every time that happens. And frankly speaking, they really don't need to. They basically only need to review the outliers where the price change result in very, very dramatic price differences. So, and even if they actually miss it, it's actually okay because 10 minutes later, you'll probably be corrected anyway. So by doing this very, very fast, Amazon is able to match the consumer's willingness to pay and actually drive more sales that way. So these are both use cases that are business AI. And so when you're actually using business AI, they can help you optimize your decision for your business. So obviously, AI is actually a very powerful tool, and Amazon is leveraging it heavily to differentiate themselves in this digital world. Now, but this doesn't happen overnight, okay? The adoption of AI actually is a long journey. So what does this journey actually look like? So I've created a 6-stage AI adoption maturity curve that could show you what this journey would look like in the future, because it can also serve as an AI adoption roadmap for you as well. So the first stage of this journey basically is what we call the digitization of work. So this involves, turning our work into some kind of digital process so that they can be tracked and recorded as digital data. So this is all about generating the data which is needed later on to be consumed by AI, okay? So evidently, the first step of digital transformation is basically digitization. So when you're actually doing your embarking on your digital transformation, you're probably going through this step already. So if we actually able to collect these data and have our work being digitized and turned into data, we can already do a few things that can actually help us move on to the next stage. The first thing we can do is typically what we call descriptive analytics. We basically, summarize this data to see how people work, and where the bottleneck is to help us reorganize our workforce to make better decisions about the business. Then we move into what we call predictive analytics, where we start to use this data to make inference and make estimate and make forecasts about something that we don't know. And finally, it moves into what we call prescriptive analytic, where these systems are even able to prescribe actions for you to optimize some kind of outcome. So now, if you're actually able to prescribe actions for people to take, right, then basically you're ready to move on to the next step. So the next step is basically, the next stage is what we call exchanging data for automation. So when that happens, what that means is that you are exchanging data for the machine to ask the machine to help you automate something, right? So if you could already prescribe some action for people to take to optimize some kind of outcome, why not just do it for them, right? So instead of telling you how to go home with the GPS, right? Why not just drive you home with the autonomous vehicle, right? So this is the beginning of automation. So as we are automating as we are actually collecting more and more data about how we make decisions around our work, we will have more and more data that will allow the machine to learn to how to mimic our work. And that is the essence of this stage, okay? So now, obviously, these machines are actually, I would say, they're not very good yet, right? So we are giving the machine some kind of data to ask them to learn how we make decisions at our work. But they're not able to perform at the human level yet, right? So the next stage is stage 3, is what we call learning from humans. So these machines are basically are learning to refine their model of how we work, right? Every time the machine is actually making a recommendation of actions, basically we can either choose to say that you did a good job, so execute this action, or we could say that no, that's actually not what I would have done, and then you take over and perform the task yourself, right? Now, because through the stage 1, we are already able to digitize your work, right? When you actually take over and perform the task yourself, the machine, the AI, is also collecting data on what you do this time that's different than what they recommend, and how you do it, and why you do it, right? So it's collecting this data to help you refine the model of how you would have worked in this situation. So this is if you actually repeat this over and over again, eventually this AI will be able to automate your decision pretty much in all the different kind of scenarios that you could possibly see, right? So now you are ready to move into what we call the 4th stage, what we call the full automation and job shift. Now, if the AI is actually doing such a good job, right, in automating your job, why not just let them take over, right? But you may say that, well, what do we do as human then, right? Well, the answer is the same answer as if you were training an intern or a new employee, right? What happens if they do a really good job? You hire them to do your job, right? And what do we do then? We basically become managers of these people, right? So essentially, we will need to become the manager of this AI, right? And let them take over some of our job. But the nature of our job also changed, right? We become managers, we take on more different work, we take on more work and different types of work, and we take on more responsibility as well, okay? So that's full automation and job shift. Now, everything that we talk about so far, stage 1 to stage 4, these are generally internally focused, okay? They focus on the internal operation of a company. Although there are some that are actually starting to be focused on external. These can sometimes start as early as stage 3, and clearly when an AI is able to perform at human level to actually have full automation and create a job shift for us, right? Then they're also ready to face the external world as well. But the next 2 stage is primarily focused externally. Okay, and these are focused on other customer or other companies. So the fifth stage is what we call the delivery of last mile, right? So obviously, this after you're able to automate people's job, we need to go on to this next stage where we deliver to the end consumers. So digital and AI is great, but there are a lot of things we can't do digitally yet, right? I mean, we can't eat a meal digitally. I mean, all the items that we buy online, right? We could configure them, we could buy them, but a lot of them still need to be delivered physically to your home, right? Not everything can be downloaded to your laptop, right? And it can even be some kind of services that need to be performed by a human, for example, cleaning your window or something like that, right? So basically, this stage involves a lot of robotics and machineries that are basically automating the delivery of this product or this service to you eventually to the end consumer. Okay, so that could be delivery bot, could be actually automating some people's tasks, such as making your coffee or something like that. So in San Francisco here, we already have these robotic barista that will actually make your coffees for you. Okay, so it's entering the fifth stage. Now, the last stage is what we call AI augmented economy. Now, when most companies are actually going through stage 1 to stage 5, basically, we will start to have economy that is augmented by AI. Now, this is a very different world from the world that we're familiar with, right? This world will be actually probably human will be working alongside with these machines. And we are there to actually help them deal with situations where data doesn't exist yet on how to deal with some certain problems. So we will actually work a lot less, but we focus on the non-repetitive nature of our job. And sometimes we may need to solve a problem once or twice, or maybe solve it several different methods, different ways to generate enough data for the AI to learn from us so that they know how to solve these problems in a different scenario also. But the important thing is that, because we work less, we actually have more time to focus on things that are more important to us. And so the society, this is likely to have a lot of very important, very profound societal and economic impact as well. It may enable us to support programs such as universal basic income, so that people would be able to, I would say, work on things that they're actually passionate about and not work because they need to survive. So this is actually a very different world, but it's a world that we can all look forward to. So now, if you actually look at this journey, obviously we're not there, right? We're not at this AI augmented economy, clearly, right? And because there's actually a lot of challenges along this journey. And these are all the different challenges that could arise when you actually go along this AI adoption journey. And but throughout different stages, there actually may be some that are actually more significant. So remember, so even though these are actually challenges that you will see all along this journey, right? But they are actually more severe in certain stages, right? So now, where do you think most companies are along this AI adoption roadmap? Well, not surprisingly, most companies are actually still early in the stage, right, of this digitization of work, this digital transformation stage. Now, but if you are a pros customer, you are already at stage 2 and sometimes at stage 3 already. So because all of the AI solution that you are using from pros, we are actually taking your transaction data, your booking data, and basically automating some tasks of analysis of pricing for you, right? So these are basically we are actually exchanging your data for some kind of automation by this machine. So now, so because this is a pros conference, when you're actually in stage 2, basically you will actually experience a lot of adoption challenges. So adoption would be the most challenging thing that you will see, right? Even though they may exist throughout this entire journey, right? You will be most prominent in this stage, in stage 2. So let's see how we can address this adoption issue. So adoption, there's actually a strategy throughout my career working to help company, through various technology adoption. I developed a 3-phase adoption strategy that works fairly effectively. So if this was your entire customer, your entire employee base, right? As with most company, you will have some stellar employees. So these are marked with a star. So meaning they're stellar, they're top end performers, right? And there's also, I would say, different levels of enthusiasm for artificial intelligence in your company, right? So these are the people who are really excited about AI and eager to try them, eager to use them. But there are within your company, there probably are some that are not so excited about AI. Some may be moderately lukewarm, some may be skeptic, some may be naysayer, some may even be frightened by the fact that there's AI coming into the workplace, right? So now the phase one, the first step of this adoption strategy is to create a secret pilot. Okay. Now the secret pilot is designed to be a successful pilot because you select the people who are top performers but are also excited about AI to be in this pilot, and you must recruit these people secretly. Now this secrecy is actually important because it keeps this team that you select. After you find the top performers who are also excited about AI, this tend to be typically a very, very small group. And because they're small, it's easier to kick off and there's less disruption, right? And because it's secret, so if something goes wrong, you contain the damage, right? As you know, there's no perfect technology raw ever, right? Every technology raw is going to experience some kind of problem, right? Somehow. So you contain the damage. But you also allow you to have to give it enough time to perfect this rollout process. So now once you perfected this rollout process, you move on to the next stage. Okay, and that's recognition and socialization, right? Because you already perfected this rollout process, right? And these are already top performers already, and they're also excited about AI. Now, they should be able to achieve something that seems like humanly impossible, right? Because they should be able to realize the performance gain from using this artificial intelligence working with them or for them, right? So now your job is to basically, you need to make sure that everybody in this company will know that these are the superheroes. They are able to achieve something that's pretty amazing, And so you need to recognize their performance and socialize their success across the company, okay? But you also need to facilitate the curiosity, the conversation within the company, because this is roll out as a secret, right? So this will actually test your communication skill as a leader. You want to give it a hint, but you don't want to give it away too early either, right? So that you create this curiosity, so people actually want to know more about how they're able to achieve something so that seemed impossible, right? So this creates curiosity through this social facilitation. And when this happens, this is actually a good time for you to roll out some kind of education program to educate people more about AI, okay? And this actually help them reduce fear and understand how AI will be able to help them do better at their work. So now as you do this, people's enthusiasm basically grow, right? People's, even I would say, the naysayer and the skeptic, even they could become curious sometimes, okay? And they will actually like to learn more about AI. Now, when that happens, you basically move into phase 3, right? This is what we call opt-in gate. And the opt-in gate is basically a program where you can opt into, where anyone can opt into, but it is actually a pretty narrow gate by design, such that not everybody can opt in at the same time, okay? So now you basically want to create a little bit of friction to create this kind of exclusivity, such that people, it drive more desire. It's right, that only special people who can actually go through this program to be trained to use this AI to help them work better, okay? So you create this exclusivity. Now, but this not only creates exclusivity, but this gate is there to ensure that people get properly trained and mentored so that they know how to use this AI effectively and efficiently. So when you do this, basically, how do you decide who gets into this program, this training, this mentoring program, right? Basically, you do the same thing as you do to create your pilot team, right? you pick the people who are most excited about AI and who are also top performer, right? But if you actually don't have top performer that's excited about AI anymore, right? Basically, you lean more against towards the people who have excitement about AI, right? So in this case, because you already have a pilot group who's actually properly trained, they are actually very excited about AI, right? You can actually accept some people who may not be the top performer, and even they themselves can be their performance can be improved by this AI. Okay, and basically each time each round of this training and mentoring, you're doubling the size of this group of mentors that is there to train the next group of people who opt in to participate in this program, right? And this basically build up a pretty large community of practice that can support your entire company. So whenever people have questions about how to use this AI, they know who to go ask, right? Now, every time you do this, when this doubling every time, right, basically it grows very fast. And eventually, you basically can tip the balance towards some critical mass of this adoption scale, right? When you actually tip this adoption scale, right, basically everybody will try to adopt. Even the naysayer and the skeptics, right, even those who are frightened, they would have no choice but to convert because they don't want to be left behind. So now, I just like to say that, throughout this three process, there's actually a parallel phase that needs to happen at the same time, right? So remember I said in phase 2, this is actually a good opportunity to roll out the education. It really, really helps to start this education program early, okay? Because understanding of the technology actually reduces fear, and so that people will not be such a resistant to adopt. And if you actually start this early in phase 2, right, because you actually start in phase, remember in phase 2, you're recognizing people's performance and socializing their success, right? So if you actually start this early in phase 2, people could actually see a convergence of theory and practice, and that will actually typically drive trust, right? And basically people would be able to see how what they've learned from this education program translate to real results that their peers were able to achieve. That's real. Okay. So basically, that is how you drive mass enterprise AI adoption, right? So what does the future entail for you, right? So we know that due to the coronavirus pandemic, the future will definitely be more contactless. But what does that mean? That means business will also need to operate in a more digital world. So the future is all digital. And to differentiate in this digital world, business need to learn to leverage AI. So the future will obviously be AI augmented. What that means is that more and more of our work will also be automated as well. But now you know how to drive adoption of AI and overcome one of these major roadblocks along this adoption journey. So basically, this future is actually here now. And this future is actually now in your hand. Thank you.